Nonetheless, we can in the same breath deny that there is a such thing as coincidence. What's done is done, what's yet to be is clearly yet to be, and so on. In other words, sandwiched as we are between the everything that is behind us and the zero beyond us, ours is a ferial existence in which there is neither coincidence nor possibility. That is from A Wild Sheep Chase by Haruki Murakami. This would be my third book of Haruki Murakami, which I'm reading. The first is Kafka on the Shore, second is After Dark, and this is the third. And only after reading the book, I realized that this is actually a part of a trilogy. The first book is Hear the Wind Sing, and the other one is Pinball 1973. But it is said that it is not necessary to read the two books. It's fine to read one of the books and you will not get sort of lost. The story in short, actually, this is actually, the story is described in the first person language. We do not know the name of the person who's narrating the story, but what we do know is that he works in an advertising firm, he's divorced, and he has a friend named Rat who has disappeared long time ago. Not long time ago, let's say, I think if I remember correctly, it's like 10 let's say 6 to 8 years of time he's not to be found, but he keeps sending letters to the narrator. So in one of the letters, he actually sends a photo of a sheep and says that you can use this photo, it would be good. So in one of the publication, he uses the photo of the sheep, but actually it gives him many issues, as in like it gets the attention of one of the major companies where they call the boss. They do not mention what the company does, but it gives us the hint that it's a right-winged, as in the boss has the ideology of a right-wing person, and and the company that they're working on is very economically stable, and it's a very powerful company. So they give him 1 month of time to find the sheep who has a star mark in the back. So the journey begins. So the narrator actually at the moment has a girlfriend who has unreal pair of ears. So when it comes to Haruki Murakami's book, that what we know is that he always describes things he describes about a fantasy. So it's very difficult for us to draw the line between the fantasy and the reality. So it's all together and it's apart. That's how the book goes. So I will not give much. I will not give the whole story. But so the journey is about how the narrator finds the sheep. He goes from one place to another, collects information, and keeps on going. So at one point of time, he realizes that if he finds the sheep, which means he will find his friend as well. So either way, either he finds his friend or the sheep. Does he find the sheep? Yes, he does. Does he find his friend? Yes, he does. So towards the end, the puzzle is like you'll find the pieces of puzzles, and you'll have the mystery, like you keep on guessing what's happening and all. And so there is a clear beginning and a story and an end. That would be the story in short. And if I'm telling and there is actually one very interesting quote. Actually, I think that is the quote that as usual there are like mini quotes, very interesting quotes in the book, and I have like put sticky notes here and there. And one of the quotes, I think it's one of the quotes which actually gives the basic idea of the whole story. This is my understanding, so I'll read it out. It says, body cells replace themselves every month, even at this very moment, she said, thrusting a skinny back of her hand before my eyes. Most everything you think you know about me is nothing more than memories. The woman, save for the month or so prior to our divorce. was singularly methodically in her thinking. She had an absolutely realistic grasp on her life, which is to say that no door once closed ever open again, nor as a rule was any door left wide open. Now all I know about her is the memories of her. All these memories fade further and further into the distance like display cells. Was it all biology? So I believe this is one of the most important quotes, and I believe it gives a definition to the story, the journey of the sheep, because the moment you find the sheep, um, also as I say, like it's a very surreal thing. There are a lot of there's a lot of fantasy involved in many cases. Like you'll keep reading and you'll realize this is not logical and all. So at the end, like if you connect this particular quote towards the end, you would try to understand what the story is about slightly. And so it's about a vision. So like basically he's with the sheep is actually, I believe it's my personal thought, that it's actually a vision that he's talking about, like a vision which penetrates into certain mindset, and how it manipulates people, like how it manipulates people, and how it manipulates it for your own good. I believe that's the idea that I got. But in general, if I'm saying, there are, like at the beginning actually there is a very small, like let's say like a very small chapter, which I believe doesn't really add to the story at all. It's just a random story, and I was expecting that would give a hint, but it doesn't add up to the story. And also, like in the letters which Rat writes to the narrator, in there is one case Rat sends a whole book, a book that he wrote, and the narrator simply toss it away, and he never reads it. And because rat's letters are very important, so I was expecting he would give sort of a clue. The story would have and story should have some clues to the end, but there was nothing. So just like that, there was some, I believe, unsolved mystery as well. Unsolved, like I believe he gave importance to few facts which didn't really continue, so which made me a bit disappointed. And also it's a bit difficult to understand, like although I say that sheep is a vision, and I believe the quote about replacing of cells is the main theme that he's going to elaborate. I'm not sure whether that's the exact thing that he was actually trying to explain. So it's a bit of confusing actually, to be honest, because and the narratives are very long, as in because it's the first person language, and the narrator is saying the story, like there are a lot of, for me there are a lot of incidents which are not really relevant, like the number of cigarettes he smokes, or like those sort of things. Like he keeps saying I did this, I did that, like I made this breakfast and all, and I felt like it's not really relevant to the story. So I felt the narratives are a bit long. But as usual, like it has a lot of amazing quotes, which is one of the reasons why I'm actually reading Haruki Murakami's books, actually, because irrespective of the story, like he would come up with amazing quotes, life quotes, which would make you dumbstruck actually. So if you haven't read Haruki Murakami's books, and I would not recommend you to read this one for the first time. Perhaps maybe Kafka on the Shore would be a good one, and After Dark. Those are the two books which I have read. And if I'm rating the three books which I have read, still I believe Kafka on the Shore comes as the first book, and the second comes After Dark. Third, I would put Wild Sheep Chase. The only reason is I believe there are like a lot of, for me there are a lot of loopholes and plot holes. When you read a book, maybe I'm being a bit judgmental, but I believe when you read a book, it's okay to have problematic beginnings and puzzles, but I believe you should have a clear end, like all the mysteries that you create, like it should have been solved. So that's the only downside that I see in this book. But other than that, it's a good read. But as I say, if it's your first time trying to read Murakami's book, I will not say it's a good idea. perhaps you can read some other books of him and then come to this one, because my first experience with Murakami is Kafka on the Show, and first impression was the best impression. So I keep reading Murakami's book, but if it's for the first time, I wouldn't recommend this. So that's my idea. I hope that'll be enough. So I'll catch up with you again. Thank you.